Seth Rollins written off WWE TV. Plus another WWE star was pulled from Monday's Raw. And we have an update on Roman Reigns' SmackDown return. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Seth Rollins got absolutely obliterated on Monday Night Raw, taking 6 tsunami splashes and blood coming out of his mouth. Well done, Bronson. I hope you're happy. Now, we thought this was going to be to set up an impending match with Rollins, but whilst that is certainly the direction, it might not be straight away.
No, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the attack was actually carried off to write Seth off of TV. He said Seth is cleared, he could wrestle, but he's banged up, so it was a good time for him to take some time off. I don't know if he'll be back for the pay-per-view, talking about Bash in Berlin, of course, against Bronson Reed. You know what? That's really, really good to hear in the nicest way possible, right? The fact that he is cleared to wrestle, but they thought, okay, now's a good time. The storyline with Punk and Drew is very much continuing, but Rollins can be taken out of that for a little bit. The timing's right to take Seth out of there, let him rest up before potentially getting more hurt.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's no reason to rush that match anyway. That's a nice feud that you can have take Seth into the end of the year with, so there's no need to rush it. Seth's had an on-off year in terms of in-ring. Obviously, every time he's been in there, he's smashed it. But like in January, he had a meniscus tear in that match with Jinder Mahal that put a lot of things in question. He managed to get to WrestleMania where he had the tag match in the main event of night 1 and then dropped the world title in night 2. He then took an extended break where he came back, got back in the title picture, so was special referee for Drew versus CM Punk, and now he's taking a bit more time away again, so I think it's still a case of healing up some of those injuries.
It's nice hearing you summarise it all like that. Seth has done a lot this year.
He's done a lot. Considering the amount of downtime he's had from in-ring, he's been in the mix a lot.
Yeah, for sure. He was the MVP of WrestleMania for me. I think this was amazing for Bronson Reed as well. If you're going to write somebody off, we don't know how long Seth is going to be off our screens or anything, but if you're going to write somebody off, why not make somebody? And Bronson, who is somebody who had been in the kind of lower mid card for quite a while, very stop-start with what they were doing with him, and this really made him. It was a brutal attack. They made the most of it by getting all of the agents and like the ringside personnel out there. It made it feel like a really big deal. That was a real kind of, I think that's like Bronson's biggest moment in WWE, certainly on the main roster to date, isn't it? And it was great. It was a really, really good angle. I loved it.
Seth wasn't the only star that was taken out of action on Raw, was he?
Observer also reporting that Dakota Kai has suffered an undisclosed injury. She was, of course, scheduled to take on Sonya Deville on that post-SummerSlam edition, this Monday Night Raw just gone. The match was advertised for the show, but that obviously didn't happen. She was taken out backstage by Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and then Io Sky taking Kai's place, picking up the win over Deville. We don't know the nature of Dakota Kai's injury at the moment. Really rough old time for Dakota Kai right now. Because
she's been so keen to get the ball and run with it for a while now, but she's had injuries that have kept her away from the ring on several occasions, and this is another setback. Hopefully not a long setback.
No, I hope not. As I say, we don't know what the deal is exactly. It really sucks for her. There was that clip that very much went viral of Dakota Kai on her Twitch channel talking about the fact that she just wants to be given a shot, right? That she just wants to do something to prove her worth, essentially. And so for this injury to happen, and again, we don't know exactly what the injury is, so hopefully she's not out for long, but for this injury to happen at this time, I think people are really starting to get behind them. And especially like Damage Control now, they're getting big old baby face reactions. They're super over. There was a big old pop on Monday night, and it sucks for Dakota. I feel bad for her.
From one faction to the split of another, we saw the Judgment Day fragmented at SummerSlam. The OGs of the JD saying TTFN with Finn Balor, Liv Morgan, JD McDonough, Carlito, and have I missed one? Dom. How did I forget Dom?
Horrible. I want to forget him as well. He's a horrible little man.
Horrible man. What did you do to Mother? Good morning, Mother. But the Word Wrestling have revealed the backstage reaction to SummerSlam, which ended up being a real pivotal moment in the plans of the JD.
Big time. They say members of the Judgment Day were sentimental and emotional backstage ahead of the group splintering this past week. The faction were also praised by WWE management for the successful big payoffs to their SummerSlam angles, two massive angles. there, like in the Finn stuff, and then of course the Liv siding with Dom, or I guess Dom siding with Liv for now. I thought it was a great SummerSlam, massive storyline stuff happening, and I think you've really got to praise Judgment Day because they started off, they did the stuff with Edge to begin with, and it wasn't all that, if we're honest. But it's turned into, for my money at least, one of the best factions of the last 10 years. I think they would be in my top 5 factions of the last 10 years. They've been really solid. And I think the thing that you've got to note about Judgment Day is that everybody has come out of Judgment Day better than when they went in. Everybody has been elevated by the group and the stuff that group have done. And now, especially with Rhea and Damian Priest, you've got 2 of the biggest baby faces in the company getting massive reactions right now. Dom has evolved his character tremendously. He's done unbelievable work. Finn was sort of stagnating for quite a long time in WWE. Liv Morgan, who is now, of course, a member of Judgment Day. She's on like the hottest run of her career right now, world champion. JD Madonna, featured player, bumping like a maniac. R-Truth, definitely elevated as well. No, but everybody who was in there, certainly early days to now, has been elevated by Judgment Day. And I had almost written them off at one point because they really weren't being pushed in the way that they should have been. Maybe it was to do with some of the sort of supernatural elements. I think that was
the biggest thing from it was the spookiness of them all.
Yeah, but now they've been brilliant. The chemistry that those have, and it's been a bit of a mishmash, hasn't it? The people that are in there, they don't naturally fit together.
Like Carlito wouldn't necessarily fit in the Judgment Day, but he's in the mix there, and I'm intrigued to see what they do with Carlito as part of that still.
Yeah, it's all just really good storylines. It's playing out. They're all over, especially Monday Night Raw. They're all over the show. And understandably so, because they're so tremendously entertaining.
Meanwhile, behind the scenes at AEW, let's touch on the drama that we've been talking about this week between MJF, Britt Baker, and Alicia Atout. It comes after Alicia Atout heard Britt Baker saying some things about her boyfriend MJF. She obviously went back to MJF and talked about it, and there was an altercation between Britt Baker and MJF that's been very Rashomon in the sense of that's not how I remember it. There's been several versions of this story told, but Deonna Purrazzo was interviewed by Stephanie Chase and was asked about what was going on behind the scenes there.
She said, I think this was one instance that sparked a lot of drama. She's right. And also took on a life of its own. The rumour mill starts going and things aren't as they were. People add their own 2 cents and it makes it way bigger than it was. I think this was an isolated incident because everything else I've experienced in the locker room is supportive and encouraging. I can only speak to my experiences, but I feel like, again, it doesn't get enough credit that it deserves. I've heard so many different versions of this story at this point. I don't really fully understand what's happened. I don't think any of us know the full story here. It looked like MJF was trying to sort of add fuel to the fire yesterday. He put the tweet out about Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, so
I think it was deleted.
It's deleted now, but Kyle, it was quote retweeting Kyle Fletcher getting treated after his beating by MJF, and he quote retweeted putting another Brit with no balls. Now it was
Brit. Do you get it? 1 T on this one.
Yeah, obviously Kyle Fletcher's from Australia, so but obviously it could have easily been referenced to Will Ospreay, but also the use of the word Brit with everything going on. It feels very deliberate, or at least accidentally deliberate.
Well, he deleted it afterward. I think it was deliberate. It was certainly referring to Ospreay in the tweet, another Brit with no balls. But hopefully we can just move on from this high school drama nonsense.
Yeah, let's move on and let's end with tonight on SmackDown, where we'll see the return of Roman Reigns. He is back to pump up that fist once again. Someone's getting fisted on SmackDown tonight, and it might be Solo Sikoa, you lucky devil. But it doesn't end there, because obviously historically, Roman sort of comes and goes when it comes to SmackDown. He might be on 1 week, he might take a few months away and then come back again. But he's going to be back next week, because SmackDown's from the Kia Center in Orlando, Florida next week. And the Kia Center tweeted, "Help, I'm a building that has somehow gained sentience. I wasn't meant to become self-aware. Please somebody help. There's people inside me and I'm scared." After that, they tweeted, "Just announced, Roman Reigns returns to Friday Night SmackDown at the Kia Center on August 16th. Limited tickets still available. Purchase now."
It's great. I'm really happy about it, because I was worried, because he hadn't been announced for the following week's SmackDown. I was worried that we were going to get the fairly typical Roman thing where he comes along on the post pay-per-view episode of TV and then disappears for a little bit. Hey, we need to start slowly building to War Games. That's where they've got to be going with this. I'll be so disappointed if they don't. But Survivor Series War Games isn't too far away at this point. I want to see as much of Roman as possible, and you want to capitalize on the massive baby face that Roman now is. It took 10 years, took a decade, but we have finally got a proper organic babyface Roman Reigns. It was an awesome return. I loved everything about it. It'll be interesting to see as well, both on this week's SmackDown and future weeks, what the deal with Jacob is, because I'm still none the wiser on that. He was obviously spotted after the show wearing the medical boot. But we aren't quite sure what's happened there, so I'd be interested to see if Jacobs. I think he'll be there with the boot on, but I'm still not 100% if it's real. I don't know. I'm getting worked.
One of the reports was that Jacob was taken out after that dive through the table in order to keep him away from Roman Reigns,
which would make sense.
Yeah, and it says something, the fact that they go, oh no, we don't want Roman and Jacob to interact because that's a big money match. Oh, there's Solo Sikoa. Go punch him in the face.
Oh, yeah, no, but
just calling it.
Yeah, it's cool. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm so excited for everything that's coming up. The Bloodline story is once again picking up. I think the Bloodline 2.0 over the last few months have been really impressive. I've enjoyed the stuff that they've done, but now it's time for the baby faces to come in and smash their faces in, which they're not going to do. I think they're losing at War Games. I'm going to lock that in now.
I don't care what happens at War Games as long as we get the Tangaloa combo in that arena. But I tell you what, right? I think it was the anniversary of that combo that gone viral that he did on Okada. It's the anniversary of that the other day. You joke, that will get the biggest reaction in an arena once he starts doing those awful hits.
He's bizarre.
Come on, lower.
He's over ironically, isn't he? It's a weird thing. He's funny. He's really funny. When he shoved Cody in the corner but missed the corner, he hit him on the right. It's constant. I feel so. Hey, he's working with one eye, depth perception and all that, right?
We don't know which eye. It keeps changing. For the latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.